Yeah, that group. Oh, yeah, this is a different group than. Yeah, it's too long of a story.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I just wanted to correct you. And so what is the plan for the building at this point? Is it to be just, is it sold, kept, used, repurposed?
I think maybe Mayor, if you don't mind, I think we talked about briefly, but I think it's I think Mayor is better positioned to go through what sort of thinking process is.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, the question was, what's the current plan for the building now that the YMCA is backed out? Is it to sell it, repurpose it, or do something else?
We're working with the Boys and Girls Club of Stanford to try to make this a satellite Boys and Girls Club building or program. And we've been inspecting the building. Mr. Lowe's been involved. We have local people that are interested in making this a Boys and Girls Club. So it's in the initial stages of that, but we anticipate that very soon we'll have some idea as to whether or not it's going to be doable.
Okay. And so this $50,000 is just to maintain the operation, given that there are tenants there now, and once the tenants are relocated, the ongoing expense presumably will be a lot less.
Generally, it costs around, I would say, about $80,000 to run the building, between utilities and everything else. We also do storm removal because it's not covered under the regular parks and rec budget kind of thing. It's a kind of separate building, and also it's a very public street, so we gotta make sure that we have priorities like clean the sidewalk and stuff. So there's other services. I think the cost, if there's nobody in the building, I think it will reduce a little bit because we will keep it minimum heat, but we will still maintain heat and air condition the building, because I think when we don't provide heat or like cut off water and drain down the system and stuff, the building, once you get vacant, it becomes deteriorate really fast. So it's keeping the building like a better alive. It's essential because again, you turn it down to 55 degrees or something or less, whatever kind of thing, the building just all of a sudden it just mold and other things becomes to happen. So we will continue to maintain this building at if nobody's in there, probably around 65 degrees and things like that. So there will be still operating expenses and utilities.
All right. So to preserve the asset for disposition in some other way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it will continue to be operated.
All right. Is there any other question?
Yeah. So Alan, give me an idea of what the total cost is going to be to maintain that building. And then the second part of that is that the two tenants we have there do they have leases? Are they, how long are those leases going to stay with us?
The first question is, I anticipated that it's going to be somewhere around $80,000 to run the building, because also they included is mechanical repairs and maintenance and stuff, you're changing filters and whatnot. We got elevator in the building that we need to service contract on and on. So we go, our staff, building management staff, go in there at least, I would say twice a week in terms of just checking on things, roof leak and things like that. So it's about $80,000. The two tenants, America does not have a current lease. I'm in discussion with them to work out a short-term lease. So most likely a 1 or 2 year lease. We haven't gone to the level of detail yet. Well, we did talk about 1 or 2 year lease, but so we don't have a current lease. They're paying some rent. I forgot how much it is. The other group, urban, what's that again, Ed? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's,
they got some initials. I forget.
Yeah, it's Urban Community Action in Norwalk. So
you can. That's what it was, right? They do have an agreement. It's part of the settlement or the acquisition of the property. I believe it's 7 years. The agreement lasts 7. I think there's some option to extend, but they currently are not in the building. So there's a minimum rent that we charge, but at the same time they're not in there. So we are looking at least it's kind of a lease, but it's a settlement, more like a settler agreement that we agree to allow them to use the building at minimum cost kind of thing. So,
But they're not using it at all now?
no, I believe not.
So we really, in essence, only have one tenant.
Yeah, that's why when I first mentioned, I keep thinking one tenant because they're not really in the building. They were there beginning for a little while, but like during COVID, they stopped, so they haven't came back in yet. So
I don't know, Mr. Mayor, I thought that when we approved this a couple of years ago, that it was almost going to be a done deal with the YMCA. Did they get cold feet here, or they just run out of money, or what
So
happened?
the original,
if you don't mind,
the original estimate for the renovations and that they wanted to do came in quite a bit higher than they anticipated. They were not able to have, they were not successful in their capital campaign. They kept asking for extensions, and we felt that continuing to give extensions would put us in a precarious position, because we might give another year and then find out we're back where we began. So I reached out to the Boys and Girls Club of America in Stamford. We have a local entrepreneur who is very involved with the Boys and Girls Club. And we've had several meetings with the executive committee of Boys and Girls Clubs, and there seems to be some interest to provide some programmatic things in that building. We're still working on that.
Because as I recall, didn't we also hope, I think the RFP that went out required fairly significant amount of capital improvements that they were going to do as well?
yeah, let me
Yeah, go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, the original proposal response was the Y was going to contribute, the project is going to be like $4 million. The city has a $1.2 million in this. From $4 million up becomes $6 million on the estimates. But after COVID, when they hired a construction manager, architecture team that went through the design and construction cost estimating, the hard cost around $9.5 million plus soft cost. So the project becomes like 12. So it's substantially different from what they initially. So I don't blame them for having second thoughts about it, because financially it's much different project than what they initially thought it's going to be. So I think that's the scale of the difference. It's probably from up to $6 million to double that amount to like $11-12 million. So.
And Boys and Girls Club didn't blink an eye on that yet, I say.
Well, they feel that estimate was rather high. And we have a person who's a local developer who is going to cost out what they believe they need, and figures they could probably come in significantly lower than what the YMCA had estimated.
Yeah. Cross your fingers.
And
Yeah, the building is 20,000 square feet. So I mean, if you have time, you can do some math around it. I mean, it is a substantial number that the Y is talking about. For whatever reason, it's coming high because, again, we look at some of the cost estimating. Everything has replacing a roof, but then there's co-update involved, on and on, blah blah blah. So, but it's a significant number by cost per square foot to renovate this building in the YMCA's estimates.
So is it apples to apples, meaning that the renovations that the Boys and Girls Club would need or anticipate would be the same that the YMCA would need or anticipate, and the only difference is the cost? Or is it that there's a scaled down renovation that the Boys and Girls Club would need as compared to what the YMCA had planned?
I think they want to do some value engineering and make some changes. They feel that I don't know why, because that's not in my area, but it might be more in Alan's area, that they felt that the estimates received from the YMCA were significantly higher than they should be.
Okay. So there's still room for hope that we can get someone in there that can actually do all the work and hit the ground running once it's done.
Yeah, the YMCA has spent like architectural design fees and also high-end construction managers. So they spend probably a couple $100,000 already, but so it's not like without trying.
Okay. All right. Is there any more discussion?
Nope.
All right. Was the item moved? I'm not sure if it was moved.
I moved it.
Oh, yes, the mayor moved it, yeah. All right, so all in favor of approving the transfer of $50,000 from wages and salaries to buildings, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? All right, the motion carries and the item is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan.
Good night, Alan.
Next
Um,
next transfer is from the Health Department, and we have Deanna Demore and Carla Rodriguez on the line to discuss this and field any questions. Deanna?
Thank you, Tom. Good evening, everyone. So we, for those who aren't familiar, we offer the WIC of Supplemental Food Program at the Health Department, which is a federally funded program, nutrition program that's available to low-income pregnant women and postpartum women, as well as infants and children up to the age of 5 years old. We actually subcontract to provide the service with Optimus Healthcare. So they get grant funding and a contract from the state health department to cover WIC services from Bridgeport all the way through Stamford. And we subcontract with Optimus to provide those services in Norwalk. And so earlier on in the year, last year actually, one of our employees made a change in health insurance coverage that we weren't notified of. We weren't aware of those changes. And so our budget, we recognize that we would need additional funding to cover some of those overages. And so whenever we do a grant funded program, we budget out health insurance costs, all the different benefits, the wages, all the operating costs. And so it's based on, the different family, single, all the different health insurance plans. And then we are able to then reimburse the city back for those costs. And so earlier in the year, we went to Tom and looked for his guidance on how to handle this in terms of the overages. We felt that we would have enough funding in our other accounts and in order for us to handle this overage. At the same time, we've been advocating to the state health department and Optimus for additional funding, moving forward. But we were able to, thanks to you all, approve a rollover at the last meeting to cover this. And this is to now transfer the funds into the right account in order to pay the overage.
We'd already approved this. We just need to now approve the transfer.
Yeah, you would approve the rollover from the 22 budget to 23, but at the time of the approval, we did not have a new account number open up specifically for this. So that's why if you look at that chart or the form, it's residing in chemical lab and medical supplies. So now we're taking the rollover amount from there, the $24,000, and putting it into a proper segregated account to highlight this expenditure.
So is this increased insurance premium, is that going to continue to be the premium next fiscal year, or is this just a one-time sort of hiccup but there's cheaper insurance out there?
So for now, we anticipate the cost would be the same unless we have some staff changes. So for now, this is what we think that it will be. And so we have to figure out, we're in the process, I mentioned, going to the state to advocate for more money so that we're able to cover all these additional costs. If not, then we'll have to, have a discussion with the mayor and everyone to figure out what we want the future of the program to look like. Do we want to, make changes based on, the amount of money that we have available to us?
Okay. I thought you mentioned earlier that there was an employee that made changes to the insurance program, to the health insurance that was not anticipated. You had presumably budgeted a certain amount, but
Correct.
is that the issue, that basically the budgeted amount was much too low, or this person just got more expensive insurance than they could have gotten? I guess it's the issue, or at least it's the question.
They made a change in the benefits so the type of plan that was more expensive, more
Right.
costly.
And
Right.
Ed, did we move move this? Yeah,
No, we didn't move it. So I was going to ask someone to move it.
I'll move it.
All
I
right,
had another question. Deanna, how do you, explain this to me again? Is this an employee, one of our employees went out and changed his insurance during the middle of the year?
At the, Carla, do you remember when they had made, sorry.
No, so they had made these changes during enrollment. And during that point in time, we weren't alerted. We weren't given the heads up that was going to happen. So I did catch this midway. And once I did, it was when I brought it to Deanna's attention and to our clinical services director's attention as well. And that's when we began looking at what we could do to cover this year and also send the same message over to the state as far as what they can do to assist us during this time.
Okay, so it didn't, because to me, it didn't make any sense that they could change their insurance coverage during the course of the year. So it was during the open enrollment period. So
That's correct.
Tom, is there a policy that everybody in the city is aware when somebody changes those, you know, they have another kid or they're married or something like that, and they change their policy during the open enrollment period? And that would automatically generate an increased premium.
Yeah, I think HR has a roster of what everybody's selections are, whether it's single family, you know, the whole unit. And we also have an insurance consultant who can provide us at any given time what that roster looks like. And right now, as we're going through the 24 planning process, we know we took a snapshot of the picture. We know what it looks like. And when they price this out, they take into account for, you know, what the structure is, how many people have this plan, how many people have that plan, and they take into account how many vacancies we have and the likelihood that the vacancy will be filled with somebody who wants a full family plan. So there are, for lack of a better term, actuarial tables that sort of give them guidance on how to price these things out.
So this sounds more like something fell through the cracks during the budgeting period as opposed to somebody actually changing in the middle of the year, for example.
Yes, that's what it's.
Okay,
I think, so this,
and it will never happen again.
there's not any more, there aren't any more questions. This item apparently we
No.
technically, or not technically, but theoretically have approved. And so the issue now is just approving the transfer. So unless there's any, there are any additional questions or any additional discussion, I'm prepared to move the item for a vote.
So moved.
It just
All right,
moved it.
so it's been moved. All in favor of the transfer of 50? Is it 51,000?
24,000.
No,
sorry.
it's the 24, 51 is the available amount, 24 is the amount to
So
transfer.
it's $24,090.01 from the chemical lab medical supplies account to the insurance premium account, signified by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? The motion carries and the transfer has been approved. So thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love the 1 cent, by the way.
Can't forget that. It'd be tough for them to come back and ask for a penny next week.
Yeah.
Next month. All right. Thank you. I think that's it with the transfer items, correct?
That's correct. That's it.
So we're down to financial reports. There being no other business. And we have, is there anyone here from Oak Hills?
Yes,
Yeah.
we have Alan Dutton this evening.
Oh, hi, Alan.
Hello, Tom.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The floor is yours if you want to give an overview or just start fielding questions. Your choice.
So I think hopefully you saw the financials for the first quarter. I won't go over them one by one, but after the first quarter, we are looking to be actually quite good on the revenue side. We're on revenue, we're $131,000 over budget. 981 actual compared to a budget of 849. Revenue area mainly in the golf revenue and the carts. so, we continue to, do well on the revenue side. So that's always a good sign. A lot of it's weather related, of course, but we haven't had nice weather. But the course is in really good shape, and we are getting a lot of people there. On the expense side, on the personnel side, we're actually $26,000 under budget, 258 compared to a budget 284. So pretty good job considering during this COVID times, because getting people to work in the lower wage areas is not easy these days. Employee benefits slightly higher, only $4,000. Looking at our admin expenses, we were over budget there by about $8,000. Mainly on the utility area, we did use a lot more utilities in the restaurant, believe it or not. Just working through the financials, the biggest expense that we had in the month on the maintenance side is water. $24,000 over budget. I think most of you can remember how dry this summer was. We were 24 grand over budget. 61 actual compared to a budget 36. We had to buy water from aquarium. We didn't have enough. And so overall, operational net income was $125,000 over. And net income before capital expenses was the same amount, the 125,221. We haven't spent too much on our capital so far. We're paying our bills to you guys, I'm pleased to say. So far, so good within the first 3 months. So I'll be happy to take any questions from the gentlemen.
I just one question on the balance sheet. I see that the receivables are up by about $21,000 year over year. Is there? Can you give me a breakdown of what's in that $37,000 receivable balance?
Yeah, funny you should say that. It does raise somewhat of an issue. We are having basically of the actual $37,000 that is in miscellaneous receivables on the balance sheet. We have $12,000 that is still owed to us by the licensee, Smoking Aces, for the fourth quarter of 2022. And then for the next quarter of the fiscal year now, the first quarter, we have estimated $14,000 that was due for, and this is for I think is July, August, and September, the first quarter. Now, our deal with the restaurant is that we get, according to the license, we get 10% of gross revenue of all the food and beverage, including the halfway house and the restaurant. We have not received what the revenue was for the first quarter of this fiscal year, and we're estimating at 14,000, which would mean 140,000 worth of revenue, which we think is low. And we're also, there's $5,000 there that estimated accrual for restaurant utilities. So we're at this moment in time owed about $31,000 from Dry Dock, which we have not. So that is currently that's what our miscellaneous receivables are.
Alan, this is Troy. Do you hear me?
Hi, Troy.
How are you? Thank you. The course is in great shape, by the way. A couple of questions. I was having problems with my thing. A couple of questions. Why are not they are not paying? Did you mention that?
No, we go to them, Mark. We approach them. I'm not sure if Joe is going to. He said, obviously we're not doing as well as we thought, etc., etc., etc. Kind of not our problem, basically, at this moment in time. We have met with him on many occasions to try and see what we can do to help him in the restaurant area in the ways of menus and staffing and other areas. But it's been radio silence for quite a few weeks, unfortunately.
That is surprising to hear. I did not know this. I mean, I thought the deal that they were given was a very extraordinary deal, let's put it that way. Whereas they were just not paying rent monthly and they were just giving 10% of their profit, which is a great deal for any businessman to get into, I would imagine.
Yes and no. You know, it's
on top of us paying for the renovation. You guys paid for the renovations of the place.
Correct.
So
correct.
I'm not happy. I'm very surprised and not happy to hear that. Okay, that's on the record. So
we are not happy either as the
What's
Oak Hills
the-
Park Authority.
What's the game plan? Are you gonna be asking month after month? Is there some
We
sort of,
sent, you know, I sent to Don a list. First of all, Joe and I met with him in August and on a formal basis, and I'm actually, I know a little about these things because I've been managing clubs for many years, retired now, and we gave him a list of things that could help him, basically opening hours, expectations, menus, etc., etc. Then we formalized that in a document. Basically, and I sent him that document on October the 8th, and I have not received anything back from him as of that date.
but this is not a new business. So this is Dry Dock they know how to run.
He has an ongoing business. He has the restaurant. He also has the concession at Silver Mine Golf Club.
Yeah, so this is not a new kind of a newbie to the game. So
Nope.
it concerns me that that you begin your relationship like that with this restaurant, and we're now entering. You know, we're about to enter the winter months where presumably they're going to have less revenue. So doesn't sound like
you must also understand that this is the second year of our agreement. In the first year, we did give him a break. We said we would cap the amount at $60,000, which means we do $600,000 worth of revenue. But unfortunately, during the first year, he made some mistakes. You know, he put a bar in which was 4 feet too long according to the code, and there was no business done during the summer, which was not really our fault. It was his fault, because basically he took so long to get permits and get the place opened up. So we did give him a break the first year, but didn't really take advantage of it.
it doesn't sound like this is going to work out. I mean, it's not working out, but it doesn't sound like it's going to work out. It sounds
right.
Sounds like it's heading in the wrong direction, and it's
right. Well, you know, the good news, according to the terms of the license, is not a lease, is that we have 3 months, and we can give 3 months notice under any circumstances, and 2 months with cause. You know, whether or not non-payment of rent over non-payment of agreement during a certain period of time is cause. Obviously, we'll work with council on this, but
well, Alan, I would work very quickly with trying to remedy this, and if you can't remedy it, I would take action, because this is the time to do it with this winter months coming. You want to get somebody that maybe knows what they're doing there with an RFP this time, which wasn't done the last time, which I was not happy about.
100%.
A couple of other things. Let me just ask you a couple of them quickly. How many openings are on the Oak Hills Authority right now?
We have 6 people filled, so I believe 3 more.
So you have 3 openings.
I believe so. Don't quote me, but I believe the 9 is the total on there, and we just recently added Richard Dellinger. I'm pleased to say so. There are now 6 of us.
All right. Well, that's something the mayor, if you need help with trying to recommend some people, we know some very capable people that would be for that board.
Send them forward. I have one appointment coming up on that board. So there'll be 2 openings, but I apologize. There's nothing else to vote on, and I have to leave for another meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. I'll send that. We'll send that.
Mayor.
Alan, a couple of other things. Capital projects, any ideas right now you guys are looking to do? Any?
Yeah, we're looking to do. We're basically, we've completed, if you've noticed, we have a new fence that we just put up, completed about 2 weeks ago. I forget the hole, is it 12 or 13? The one that runs, down the main road. That was just completed. We are looking at the possibility of putting golf simulators. We did budget for it, to put a golf simulator. we put heating in the huts now, and in the starter hut, and we're looking at the possibility. We put 40,000 in the budget to put 2 simulators in there. I'm looking probably just to put 1 in there at this moment in time. We're also looking at the actual. We have housing there, two places. One of which is taken up by the green superintendent assistant, but there is an opening. We put like $20,000 in the budget to improve that area so we can get rent for it. We figure we get $1,500 worth of rent, so we have to do the outside and some of the inside. We're looking at that as well. There are no major projects like last year. Obviously, we did the car pass, and that was a $180,000 project, which we were able to do because we had such a fantastic COVID year with the golf, did so well. So those are the main things I look at. We're not looking to spend a lot of money this year, I don't think.
And are you looking at the unlimited again for this year, or are you still early stages? The unlimited program for golfers, unlimited. Are you looking to do the unlimited for the golfers this year?
I'm not sure what that is.
You pay one fee. Residents pay one fee.
Oh, well, we did that.
$2,500.
We did that. It went down from 65 people down to 55 people. In fact, the amount of rounds actually is down for usage for those type of people. And only year to date, I think we have 1,100 rounds of people who bought the passes compared to 2,100 from the year before. So that is actually down, which is okay because that frees up some spaces for people who want to come. That whereas the people that had the passes were grabbing all the recent early tee times. But I think it's good to do those because it does help us with cash flow in January. When we sell these, we bring extra like $200,000 at a good time of the year to help us with cash flow.
And the last thing, at the GM, I remember that was a spot, right? A general manager. Is that still an open spot, or is that not still?
It is, and there's negotiations at the moment about that. We believe. I mean, I was involved in that. I believe that we need to up the ante a little bit from what we were looking at. I mean, originally when Don was hired, he was hired as the general manager, and we paid him $50,000. It was like the fox watching the hen house, but basically that position was somewhat eliminated. And now we do have some dollars in there, but I think we may need to raise that number a little bit because, if we keep on doing as well as we are, we can afford to do that. So I think if we raise the level up, and I'm not sure what that number is yet, that we'll be able to find someone. I don't think it's a full-time position. I think it's a part-time position. But I think there are people out there that could do that job and do it well.
Well, in lieu of what you just told us about the restaurant not paying it, I think a general manager position needs to be filled. I think to keep an eye on that. So, thank you, Alan. Thank you for your.
My pleasure.
One other quick question on the restaurant. Then, is there any way that they could publish when they're going to be open? I mean, it seems like everybody I talk to has no idea when the place is open or closed or what.
Well, it's funny you should say that because the document I sent them, I said, I told them what the hours should be, not what they want to be. There are certain core hours we have to have that place open. Obviously, you talk about the halfway house, then you talk about the restaurant. And, Mondays, no, because that's when we have golf outings. But Tuesday through Sunday, lunch hours and afternoon hours and dinner hours. And during the period of the time from, the middle of April to the middle of October, you should be open, et cetera, et cetera. And this is part of the agreement, but we have not heard back as yet. So, yes. And
so when is it, is it, I think Ed had brought up before, is it, the clock is ticking here. Are you looking at that October 8th document that you sent him that we're already 1 month into this thing that he hasn't even responded. So you said two months to give him
2 months cause, 3 months without cause.
3 months otherwise. Can we go back to him and say, hey, you're 1 month away from getting kicked out of here?
Obviously, we take advice.
Or let me put it another way. Would that spur him into any kind of action?
I think Joe, chairman of the authority, is in the process, based upon not hearing from him from a month, in sending him, whether it's a final letter, whether it's whatever it is. I mean, obviously, from an operational point of view, a new year would be a great time to look to make any changes, Jim. But it's definitely high on our agenda.
Do we have any idea, Alan, if the same thing's going on with the Silvermine Golf Club, or if he's playing games just with Oak Hills?
Anecdotally, obviously, one of our new members of the authority is friendly with governance at Silvermine, and has indicated they may not be as happy as they may have been in the past. But that's only anecdotally, of course. You know.
I just don't know the way the business works. Is there any legitimate way to call them and asking if they're having the same issues? In one way, I don't care what's going on with my neighbor, but it's nice to know if this is a pervasive issue or if he's trying to take advantage of the Oak Hills Authority.
And I heard, Ed, let me just comment, Ed, too. I heard exactly the same thing Alan heard from somebody different, that they were very disappointed in the performance at Silvermine.
I understand it, but I'd rather have a direct answer that he's not paying them either.
No, I can find that out too.
It just adds fuel to the fire and ammunition for taking action, Alan. That's all I'm thinking.
Yep.
Right. But it's a top priority, Alan. That's the
100%. Yeah.
It'll affect golf rounds. It'll affect all the other things we know.
I can assure you that if whatever happens is that the process will be a little different than the last process, that we will develop a very strong RFP, we'll interview candidates and, go through a proper vetting process to make sure that we get the right person or entity there.
So, Alan, you've been in this industry for quite a number of years. We were told the last time we went through this whole thing that there were very few people that were interested and wanted to get involved in running the restaurant. Do you still think that that's an issue?
I don't believe that that's true. Obviously, when you talk about COVID, everybody in the hospitality industry got decimated. But it's coming back a little bit. I mean, there are opportunities at Oak Hills. I mean, I could run it and make money out there because it's not just in our industry, you make money in two areas. You actually lose money in the restaurant on food. You make money at the bar, and they have a beautiful bar there, a really nice bar. And you make money on private events. Okay, now during the winter months, you have a great opportunity to use that space for private events. We're also doing a lot of golf outings now. We're doing more golf outings than we've ever done, but I don't think that Don really went after those people. And and also you have to look at pricing. I mean, basically, when you do a golf outing, you can have a not-for-profit, golf outing, but you can also go up to Merit 7 and get some people in from there that don't want to pay for a Weber and would like to come to Oak Hills. And you could do a really nice food and beverage area from them. You could serve breakfast, perhaps. Wouldn't that be fun? To get some breakfast people in there. And just, nighttime, the food was really good there when it first opened, but there's no trade there at the moment. So I think, the place outside looks really attractive. And we spent a lot of, we did put a lot into it as well. So I agree, Jim. I think it's an attractive place.
May I ask you a question? Is there, I assume there's a certificate of occupancy for the place?
Yes. Yeah.
But
We have our CFO, all our permits. We
the
got
bar's 4 feet longer than zoning allows. So how did that?
No, we got around that. We work with Bill Island basically, and the issue came down to an ADA space, and we actually put an ADA space in there. We added bar space. We are completely within code according to the city of Norwalk and also the health. So we're good to go. We're all good. We have our CFO. It took a year, but we have our CFO.
So Ed, maybe we could have our holiday party there.
That sounds great. We'll be the only 5 people there, apparently.
Yeah.
We may need to keep.
Or it may not be open.
I have the keys,
I
Jim.
know.
All right. Anything else?
No, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Alan, for that.
Good luck, Alan.
No problem. Thank you. Okay, bye.
Bye. Is
Thanks, Alan.
there anything else? Year-to-date capital or operating budget reports? Anything that stands out that you'd like to talk about, or should we, or can we table that and talk about that some other time?
Yeah, no, nothing major on either fronts. Still fairly early in the year and running on target on most line items. I just wanted to share that over the last 2 weeks, we got all of the fiscal 24 operating and capital budget requests out to all the various departments. So they are pulling together all of their data and information as we speak. So we give them about 2 weeks to get all that together. And then in December, we start with our one-on-one meetings on the operating side. So Henry and I will meet with each individual department to vet their requests and challenge them on things that we see as significant variances over the previous year, and eventually come up with what we call the CFO/mayor recommended budget. And then we will go through a similar process on the capital side in January. So that's we're sort of just kick that process off right now. I'm fielding lots of questions from the departments, but so far so good.
Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
The meeting's adjourned. Thank you all.
Have a great night, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Happy election day.
Yeah.